It's a great pleasure to present to you and give you an update. The only piece of information that I'd like to know is the dates for the Melbourne meeting so that I can mark it down in my diary. Here's my presentation. I'm in Cambridge, and this is last May. And these are the famous May bumping races that the students get involved in. And this is Head of the River. St John's or Lady Margaret Boat Club, and they're sort of leading the pack. And anyone that has done sweep rowing will know that it's a team effort. There's a cox who gives you direction. There's a stroke who gives you rhythm and pace. There are the powerhouses who give you length and strength. There's the bow that gives you guidance. And there are other people that make sure that they don't slow the boat down, but make it go at pace and glide through the water. And running the journal is very similar to rowing in a boat. You've got to make the thing go fast, and you've got to work in a team. And the position of editor-in-chief, according to Clarivate of the Web of Science, who evaluate all journals, is laid out on the Clarivate website. The editor-in-chief has to ensure that there's evidence of editorial rigor and adherence to community standards. The editor-in-chief is responsible and accountable for the quality of all published content. And Clarivate will look for deficient publication in any journal on their list. So articles that demonstrate lack of scholarly rigor or scientific validity, they will look to the editor-in-chief to explain. And if there are irrelevant citations or lack of appropriate citations to the literature in any of the content, again, that's down to the editor-in-chief. So the editor-in-chief needs to be committed to oversight of research articles, make sure that they have external peer review, and that the content must reflect this effective peer review. So I'm going to give you some data about peer review and content metrics at Pediatric Critical Care Medicine. This is a summary of 2021, 2022, and 2023. Over those 3 years, over 2,000 papers submitted, and overall a 21% acceptance rate, a 78.5 rejection rate. All and articles from these 3 years have been handled. And as you can see that there are 4 levels of review. There's my review and straight reject, which accounts for close to 50%, if not a bit more. Then there's a level at the senior associates, and then that may go through a couple of iterations. And before final acceptance, there is a technical review. Regarding disposition, 2/3 of this track is dealt with within 3 weeks, 95% by 6 months. So this is where we are with 2024 content that was submitted, similar rate per year to previous years. We've still got some articles that are in the system because December submissions are still in the process, but we're on track for a 17+% acceptance rate, a 73% rejection rate. The disposition is slower compared with the previous 3 years. 75% by 3 months as opposed to 2 months in the previous 3 years. And there are various reasons that might occur, and I can explain that. This is a summary of who's doing the work. In 2021 to 2024, we have 582 reviewers, and our reviewers on average, or a median of two to three reviewers per manuscript. And for the content that we've had, over 3,000, close to 3,500 reviews are done. And the gender tag names, female to male ratio is about 0.8 to 1. It's not exactly 1 to 1, but it's as close as we can get. 2024 specifically is very similar to the above. And looking at the number of manuscripts that individuals are doing, as you can see, there's a full range. So we have some people that are super reviewers, some people that only have a limited amount of time that they can offer to us for providing reviews. But this is a priceless resource, and we welcome reviewers and new reviewers from all over the world. And part of the delay in disposition is that I'm wanting to protect our reviewers. They give us their time and effort for free. They're not reimbursed. And so they're a resource that needs to be shielded and used efficiently. Looking at our inventory, we've got a lead time between article acceptance and publication of around 4 to 6 months. And what that means for 2025 is that I've already filled June 2025. And that's a healthy position to be with because I'm not scrambling around for new content to fill the pages. I've got content, and it's excellent content. My strategy over 2021 to 2024 has been to make the quality better. As you can see on the Web of Science, our article numbers, and that's these blue bars from 2020 through to 2024, have decreased by about 100 for reviews and articles. Our editorial content has also halved. But over that same period, our impact factor has gone from 2.8 to 4.1 last year, and it looks as though it's on track for around 4.4 in June this year. And, it's a vicious cycle. Do you go for more content and lower impact factor and attract and a decrease in people wanting to submit their quality material, or do you go for somewhere in between where you improve the impact factor and hopefully attract the best content? So let me just give you an idea about the content that these are the top cited papers in 2024 from 2022 and 2023 publications, and this will add to the impact factor that comes out in June. Right at the top is the Pandem pediatric guidelines for sedation, analgesia, rehabilitation. The PALIC-2 guidelines that I know that some of you were involved with is number 2. They're starred because Clarivate considers these papers as highly cited papers, meaning that they're in the top 1% of cited papers in our field. And since 2014, we've had 12 items in this category. So to get 2 in one cycle is outstanding. PARDS definition is a notch below, but 18 sites. Systematic review on delirium, 18, the Polizzi network, and I think this is a reflection of Polizzi investigators. They're citing the Polizzi network paper as their methods paper. Pediatric critical care admissions using the PHYS data set, highly cited. DeLuca's paper on epidemiology of neonatal ARDS, a point prevalence study, done well. And the other one is the core outcome measurement set for pediatric critical care. So this gives you an idea of what is being cited and what it is that our ongoing researchers are referring to. And, the field has changed. It's mainly guidelines, epidemiology, summary papers, systematic reviews. The only paper out of all of this that is prospective research is the epidemiology of neonatal ARDS. I believe Brenda handled this paper. The pediatric critical care admissions using the PHYS data set is an epidemiological paper using a database. The core outcome measurement is a sort of expert panel review. And this is the Pandem guidelines, very high altmetric score, lots of full text reviews, lots of downloads, lots of mentions on X, but it doesn't exist on Blue Sky. And this is something that I've been sort of toying with is how do we get content out there to our worldwide network? I've cancelled or deactivated my X account, and I've opened a Blue Sky account, and I have 5 followers. So I've given up 3,000 followers for 5 followers. You've got to get the message around. Someone's got to do this. There are 16,000 people worldwide who want to see PCCM content. 5 Blue Sky followers isn't going to cut ice with anyone. So, I'm even speaking with Jeff about whether or not Open Pediatrics is the forum for getting this content out, but it's got to be gotten out somehow. This is, looking to the future, papers published in 2024 and cited in 2024. And again, it's a reflection of the similar type of content that our researchers want. There's the executive summary of the ECMO coagulation, coagulopathy, pediatric guidelines. That's also categorized as a highly cited paper. There's database studies on critical asthma, child opportunity index and outcomes, and immunocompromised PARDS using the PARDI data set. These 2 papers are the only sort of research type articles, another piece article, a subgroup description, the pedal subgroup of Polizzi, and there's one randomized trial, which is a pilot study, and this is the hydrocortisone and vitamin C for pediatric septic shock. Another metric, apart from citations, is to look at how our peers consider PCCM. So this is the PICU Journal Watch. I don't have any shares in PICU Journal Watch. I don't, not part of that, but they looked at the best of the year for 2024 and identified 32 papers that met their PICU best of the year for 2024. 11 of these 32 papers were published in PCCM, 3 papers each in CCM and JAMA, 2 papers in resuscitation, and 1 each in each of these journals that are listed there. So I guess 11 out of 32 is pretty good going for PCCM. So what about rigor, editorial rigor and scholarly rigor in the review process? This has definitely needed improving, and part of my strategy since 2021 to 2023 is to help our authors write papers. And we've had a series on writing for PCCM, the 3,000 word structured clinical research report. This is what I learned on the editor's course at the BMJ. This is what Howard Balkner took with him from the BMJ to JAMA. And so it's a sort of universal structure, but I've modified it specifically for PCCM. How to write narratives, letters, and correspondence, general instructions. What about using references in the ChatGPT era? I think it is inevitable that our authors are using ChatGPT. The question is, how do we check on that? So I now do a technical review. And if you've, in this item here, I talk about the anomalies that occur. So references that are hallucinations, like they don't exist, or you go to them and it's completely different content, or references that are just old and ignore new references. Now, Clarivate are going to pick me up on not including contemporary references. Other items in this series have been about confounding and causality in observational studies, scoping and systematic review, quality improvement studies, and learning from association and propensity scores. So all of this material is out there. What has guided me more recently is other journals, and particularly the American Medical Association and JAMA, and Guide to Language, Narrative, and Concepts in journal writing, and the statistics and how we present statistical data. So examples like this have led me to carry on with the theme of writing for PCCM. So a checklist when using administrative clinical databases for research came out last year. We're encouraging younger and newer editorial writers who I realized hadn't been instructed on how to write an editorial or commentary. And it's not a place for admonishing authors. The paper's been accepted. So how do you write? And the answer, if you haven't seen this, do have a look. The answer is that you write with grace, and I borrowed the GRACE acronym from an anesthesia journal. So that's how to write an editorial and commentaries. And measurement error, how do we deal with that? I got our editors of the PCCM narratives to write about where are we with the narrative essays that are written. We'd love to see more from our international worldwide colleagues and multidisciplinary colleagues. It's very US centric at the moment, but we are moving in the right direction. And Tim Buckman and I tackled the question of how we use ChatGPT. I'm not sure is the answer, but this is what we put out there. So lastly, I just want to cover the field of novel material that I believe is reflecting community standards. Journals have changed. There's been an evolution. And so how do we reflect that in PCCM? This was summarized in brief in the 25th anniversary issue in July 2024. And so this is one of the innovations, which is the PCCM trial section. Very few journals now want to publish research protocols for randomized controlled trials. And I've taken the view that our readers of PCCM, both within the US and internationally, want to know what trials are going on in the field. And these are the trials, protocols, and pilot studies that have been published in PCCM since I started the section. And on the left is a cut and paste thing from the January issue. So there is more content, and there will be more content. And I'll be writing a PCCM, writing for PCCM item on how this material should be presented. There's a new section that's appeared. Again, I've borrowed this concept from intensive care medicine, which is a section that they call Conference Report and Expert Panel. And this is the Australia and New Zealand Intensive Care Society Pediatric Study Group. And in January, they reviewed their 20 years of collaborative research and the administrative structure that they have for bringing about multi-center research. And on the left, you see a timeline there. This follows material that we've already published about the UK Pediatric Critical Care Society, the PCCM, and the Capcorn Group. Dare I say it with Jackie online, Pac-Man hasn't approached me, but you know, it's waiting there. And this is the sort of material that could get into PCCM. And it's about telling the world about lessons learned and how other societies can develop. And just to show my commitment to professional groups and clinical practice topics within our community, these, since 2021, these are the list of groups and publications: Bright Star, PCICS, SECM, PCCM, Capcorn, UK PCCS, Lucille Packard Foundation, SEPTA and SECM, PDECMO, ANZICS. So, you know, we're open for business for getting your message out to the rest of the world. And then just another plug. I started the PCCM narrative section in 2021, and on the right you will see that there's an article, It's Not Invisible. This appeared in December 2024, and Martha Curley, who some of you may know, wrote to her nursing colleagues of things that she had observed her nursing colleagues doing at a bedside space for a child and for the family. And it's a wonderful one-page piece that we should all read and just pay attention to. So, you know, this is material that we will move forward with. I don't want to, you know, I'm not wanting to introduce cartoons. I've not gone completely crazy, but narrative stories from around the world, I think are important. This you will be familiar with. We published this 2024 Pediatric Sepsis Data Challenge in the November issue of PCCM as a technical note to announce this. And I saw on your WFPICCS website where this image comes from, 43 countries, 102 teams. So it's got out there. I'm looking forward to seeing the next iteration of this. So lastly, there's this. These are the sort of clinical research for PCCM, We're 13th out of 35 critical care journals, and we're 16th out of 130 pediatric journals. But like many people, I'm completely aware that the field has evolved. Um, People want to publish in JAMA Network and Lancet journals. So that's where observational and prospective studies are going. And you know, PCCM gets some of these, but it it just looks as though this material is going elsewhere. What's happening is that we're getting a lot of retrospective material, and you've guessed it, I'll be writing a piece about writing for PCCM on retrospective studies. Personally, I think single sector retrospective studies that focus on death or length of stay, that's yesterday's research, and I'm looking for tomorrow's research and content that's going to interest our readers. My hope is that we will see the secondary analyses of observational and prospective studies that appear in JAMA or Lancet, that the secondary output will come to PCCM for our international readers. If it doesn't, then I will take authors to task and say, we want a pro-con debate about the PCCM study. I've got it, it's like a conference. I've got a significant portion of experts who think your study is questionable. They're not going to do anything about it. So how do you answer their questions? So we did that for first ABC, the non-invasive papers. We've done that for PCCM. I will do that for anything that gets published out there that we haven't seen. So there are lots of people to thank at WFPICCS and SCCM, and obviously the council. SCCM pediatric section, there's no doubt that the pediatric section account for 95% of the subscribers for PCCM. That's a fact, and that should be changed somehow. PCCM emeritus editor Pat Kahanick, I still get emails from him with words of wisdom and either words of congratulation about what we're doing. My senior editors, I've got space and I will be approaching people in the next year, and our 94 editorial board members. They all do great work, and we need to replenish this stock. People get tired out or they've had enough, so it needs to be replenished.